It is an essential part of who I am. I love this institution. I'll do anything I can to help this institution. The academic rigor here, the moral formation here, the relationships here, all of those things made a huge impact at the time, and I carry with me today. It's why I never left. It is really an important place to me, and anything I can do to help foster its growth, I will do.
I graduated in 1998 after a 15-year period of time where I was working on my undergraduate degree and going to night school and raising a family as well. I selected CCSJ simply because I lived about 2 blocks away from here. And so I had started after high school. I had started to going to work. I worked at a small little company at 18th and Indiana in Chicago. And I would commute back home after work and then head on over here to CCSJ. I started when I was 21. And I actually met my husband in my very first class. In so many ways, the school changed my life.
I wanted to be close to home as well as get a good education. Calumet College was renowned in the area with Professor Alan Brown, who had established a very solid criminal justice program here for many, many years. One of the things that I really pride myself about Calumet College is that while I was here my first semester, Alan Brown took me to the side after class and said, "Hey, have you thought about going to law school?" And growing up in Northwest Indiana, I never thought going to law school was a reality for me. So when he said that, I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think you got the talent to do it. Focus on getting your LSAT score up and take a review course and you'll get into law school, I promise you." Well, I took the LSAT and he actually guessed what my score was going to be. And I got into Valparaiso, where I graduated in 1995 with my law degree. So I've used the foundation from Calumet College and the education from Valparaiso to establish myself as a very experienced and board-certified attorney, and I do trials on a regular basis. And without my education at Calumet College, I'm not sure I'd be where I am today.
My father was the vice president of the business area here when I was a kid. He taught here. He was the head of the accounting department when I was a child as well. So it had been a school that was in our family for a long time. I actually went away for a couple of years before transferring back here. My brother was a student here at the time. He seemed to like it here quite a bit. When I visited here, I felt at home immediately, and that sense of family and that sense of home really resonated, and I knew immediately this was it. And so I transferred here.
My very first class here at CCSJ, it was philosophy. And at the time, I had a good friend who was also a philosophy major. I had been a really good high school student, but my parents really had never even graduated high school, so I hadn't really had any insight into what it was like to go to college. So that first class, I thought, well, I'll take this class to share that person's interest and see how it goes. And again, it was a philosophy class, and I thought, gosh, it's so interesting. And I remember walking into the building the very first time and just thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm actually here. And to be honest with you, if I had given any attention at all to the fact that it was going to take 15 years before I got a degree, I probably would have been disheartened about the whole thing. But instead, rather than being disheartened about it, I decided that I would just keep going one class at a time, and that's my biggest piece of advice to other students who may not be traditional students, is when you're 40 years old, you're going to either have a degree or you're not going to have a degree. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to achieve your dreams. What matters is that you do.
Well, Calumet College molded me into the person I am today because it gave me a good footing to build onto my career. Again, it's a launching pad for me to get into law school, and then from law school I worked hard and developed a very good reputation within the legal community, and I wouldn't be where I am today without that. Having the same person lead that program for I think at least 3 decades says something about the ability of Calumet College to recruit and retain talent in the professors that teach here. My charity of choice is Calumet College. That's where I want to give. That's where I want to spend my time advancing the school as much as possible. Because, again, I don't think I'd be in the same position I am today without Alan Brown taking me to the side and saying, basically, kid, you got the skills to do this. So if I get to give back, it's going to be here and helping raise money through different events, being on the board of directors. I try to push other people to, follow my lead in that aspect.
Oh, yeah. There are several faculty members that are still here, which is a really wonderful experience. Brother Ben has really played a profoundly influential role in my life. Not by doing anything dramatic, but by simply being Brother Ben. He is just a constant presence and always a joy, always reminding me of what's most important. Some of the other instructors, like Walter Skiba, I see regularly. He lives around the corner from me. Martin Martinez, working in the library. I always loved to chat with him. He was a professor of mine. Some of them have obviously retired and moved away, passed on. In the case of Jerry Martin, she passed on a number of years ago, and we went to celebrate her life at the retirement community where she spent her last days. Gene Finnegan and I keep a correspondence going for many years now. So yeah, I really do get the chance to stay in touch with many of the instructors that I had when I was a student or who I worked with shortly thereafter.
There are so many things here today that weren't here back in 1982 when I started. So I would say, just my memories were going down into the basement. At the time, that was the only place where students could gather, and just talking to other students. All of them were much younger than I was, generally speaking, and getting to know them as people, and also spending time with the professors. There were so many interesting teachers, and there continue to be interesting teachers here today that I really loved getting to know. So I think that was really predominantly my experience then. I still love learning. I loved learning then, and we had so many opportunities to really dig in and think about the material and think about how we were going to use it on our everyday jobs and lives, and it proved to be a really wonderful experience. Oh my gosh, I would say that is one of the biggest areas of gratitude that I have for CCSJ, and that is that I did feel so prepared for not only real life, but to also go on to get my MBA at DePaul. So I think the intensity of the study here, the attention that I got from the faculty was so helpful. The fact that there is a religious component to it, I think that all of us get through life and through a lot of life's challenges when we have a spiritual foundation on which to draw from. And I got that from CCSJ as well. So I think that that's really what's gone on to help me succeed in life and to have a solid foundation. I enjoyed all of that I received here, and continue to think about some of the foundations. The foundations are what's so important, and having the relationships, having the spiritual guidance. But you do have an obligation. I think that's one of the things that we learned here, is that you have a moral obligation to help other people. And that's what's so great to see. So I took that out into the world as well. I became a Chief Human Resources Officer, and as I think about my work there, drawing back on my past experiences, that role, you succeed in that role by seeing other people as human beings. And, I drew that from a lot of the things that I experienced here at the school.
Well, I'm an adjunct instructor here. I've been one for over 20 years now. Shortly after I graduated, I hired on in the admissions department and spent a decade here as an administrator. And I still continue to teach. So I really feel like I've never left, which is really a wonderful thing. I appreciate the opportunity to give back. It was such a formative experience in my life. If I can contribute in any way to somebody else's, I feel really honored to do that. So I don't really feel like I've ever left. It's been a very long and happy relationship.
Education is the great equalizer in society. So take advantage of your opportunity to get a quality education, work hard. You got to remember, once you get through college and once you graduate, that's not the end. That's only the beginning of your career. So focus, work hard, show up every day ready to go, have a positive mental outlook, and you'll be successful.
So I love being a member of the advisory board because I think that this is where, as you get to have a point in time in your life where you have more time behind you than you have likely ahead of you, you can say, how can I give back? And the ability to be on the board of advisors and to contribute to the school and contribute to the students is certainly a passion of mine. Learning has always been fundamental to my core being. And I've learned a lot. I still have a lot to learn, but I want to make sure that I'm reaching behind me and helping other students who are, in many cases, in the same exact position that I was in when I was coming up. Again, my family didn't have college degrees. It was very intimidating experience. I couldn't afford to pay for college. I actually had to wait until I had tuition reimbursement at my job in order to pay for college. So I know what it feels like to be a student in those shoes, and I think that a lot of our other board members feel the same way. So if we can reach back and help those students, I know that what they will do is the exact same thing, which is so exciting. And so that's how the world changes, is one person at a time, one education at a time. And I'm going to do every single thing I can to help that.
If I could speak directly to donors, I would say thank you for the donations, because those dollars do make a difference in the lives of real human beings who I have the chance to see Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. These are kids who probably would not be going to college if Calumet College of St. Joseph wasn't here for them. They're working students, they're athletes, and they're working hard in their classes to get an education, and everything we can do to help them really does make a difference in their lives.
In reference to donors and sponsors for the events, normally we have this black tie event, which I really enjoy going to, and I'm missing it 2 years in a row because we're being sensible in reference to COVID. But we always appreciate the donations. I work hard to get people to donate. This is the type of institution you should donate to, because this is not an institution that's wasting money. It uses the money to put back into the school, and it's for the students and helping individuals from the area get a quality education.